You know, Destiny 2, not gonna lie. At one point, you were one of my favorite games to play. Whether it was on Twitch, whether it was offline, just playing for myself or with a group of friends, just having a good time. But for the last year or so, I would say, and I would dare to speak for a lot of people whenever I say this, it feels like y'all at Bungie just sort of kind of stopped caring with PvP imbalances, the same bugs that have been around for months, if not years. Just sort of kind of seems like Destiny 2 has been kind of put on the back burner for Marathon or other IPs y'all might want to work on. But Destiny 2 is still a thing. Like, it's still around. It needs fixing. But it looks like it might take a little while for that to even happen to begin with now, because as we all know, Bungie was hit with a round of layoffs. And here's the thing, y'all. Everybody was really mad about it because they thought, oh, this is just Sony's doing. And, you know, Sony wants to replace the Bungie employees with their own. But no, turns out that the layoff decision came directly from Bungie management, which that's, you know, not cool if you ask me. You know, and the CEO of Bungie went on record saying that now we have the right people working on the games we have. And it's like, well, the right people that you laid off was also part of the team that was trying to listen to gamers, to the community, to implement changes that the community was wanting. But then the higher up said, no, we're not going to listen to what the players want. So, I mean, I'm not sure how you can sit there and say that, oh, well, we have the right people now working on these games. Like, if the entire team was full of yes men, then they're going to get complacent and just do anything upper management says without any kind of, you know, feedback from the community ever making it to upper management ears. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm not quite sure how that's the right people, but I mean, if all you want is yes men, then yeah, sure. So, oh boy, like it's just a mess, guys. So most of the employee benefits, but not health insurance. It looks like here that an article from Bloomberg is saying that the people that were affected by layoffs, they're going to have 3 months of severance and 3 months of Bungie paid Cobra health insurance. But other benefits like expense reimbursement ended Monday. So a lot of staff has been, you know, trying to get their receipts and stuff in to get reimbursed for any kind of, you know, business expense they might have had relating to their old job. Which personally, I don't even understand why they even had layoffs, because, you know, Bungie was given $4 billion, okay? $4 billion with a B, not million, $4 billion. And of that, 1.2 billion was supposed to go toward employee retention. And look, I totally understand how they've came out and said now that Destiny 2 missed its financial mark by nearly 45%. I totally understand that. Like, that's a huge loss for a company. But again, if you were given $1.2 billion to keep people on staff, I'm failing to understand why that wasn't taken care of. And there's a quote here from IGN as well. Multiple employees confirmed that money was distributed to employees who were fully vested, with money split into multiple payments over time and varying based on discipline and seniority. But they also go on to say right here about shares. Many employees had unvested shares as a result of the Sony purchase. These shares would be received based on staying with the company for a certain number of years following the sale, but those shares revert to Bungie if you leave, even if you're fired, which is happening right now. So if anybody had shares and they were laid off or fired, they're worth nothing. That money goes back to Bungie. Which, yeah, in a way, I do get and I understand how that works, but it's also really scummy as well, too. Because that money, if they would have just, you know, bought their shares out for their valued employees, that could have just went along with their severance to give them a little bit more of a cushion so they could, you know, find a new job and not have to stress about bills or putting food on the table for, you know, their families, for God's sake. And then on top of all of this too, apparently there was a play test for their new up-and-coming game Marathon. And whenever they were asked, you know, whenever Bungie asked the players, hey, if this was released now, would you guys buy it? And nobody put their hands up. So apparently it's in really early testing phases and nobody likes it, or they got to change some stuff. But from what I was reading and from what I was hearing on YouTube here, it seems like they went out and got some Escape from Tarkov players, and they just straight up did not like the game. Now, my whole thought about this thing is that I think it's absolutely insane. I think it's not fair. I know that I've been seeing on Twitter that they let go of a lot of OG high profile developers, high profile employees that have been with the company for years, if not decades. And it's not right, you know. My only guess for this is that they got rid of those OG employees so they can bring in, you know, a new younger crowd and pay them a third of what they were paying the original, you know, the original employees that have been there for years, right? That's what a lot of companies seem to do whenever they quote unquote restructure, you know, to save themselves money. And again, from a business standpoint, I do understand it, but as a person, it's a very shitty, scummy thing to do to people. You know, it's just not right. And again, they were given $4 billion, and $1.2 billion of that was supposed to go toward keeping employees. And what do? They got rid of them. Makes no sense to me. Now, as far as Destiny goes, you know, Marathon, I really couldn't care about. I saw the trailer for it, the little teaser they put out a few months or so ago, and I thought it looked like a generic looter shooter style game. It's not my cup of tea. But as far as Destiny goes, I would love to see them, you know, put Destiny 2 on the back burner and start making Destiny 3. At least do something with the game, because I don't know about y'all, but I have seen report after report after report on Reddit, on Steam, of these people with these insanely high-end PCs, and the game runs like crap for them. You know, myself included. I have a 5900X and a RTX 4080. And I run the game maxed out, 120 frame rate, sure, but there are still some things in the game that cause a system like mine and people that have way higher end systems than mine to go into like 30, 40 frames per second. And in my opinion, that's insane. Like the engine, you can only push it so hard for the game. I totally get that, and it's like what, like a 7-10-year-old engine now at this point. But at the same time, though, I think that should tell the development team, hey, we're sort of kind of reaching the limit of what this engine is capable of. Maybe we should move on to something different. Like if they could do Destiny 3 in Unreal Engine 5 or whatever new iteration of Unreal that's going to be out by the time they do work on the next version of Destiny, I think that would be absolutely insane. Like, could you all imagine Destiny 3 having real-time ray tracing, DLSS, or any other kind of new tech that might be out by then? Like, that would be absolutely nuts. And I would personally, I would love to see it, and I would be here for it, you know? But just, I'm going to pass the question here to you all, okay? What do y'all think? Do you think Destiny can be saved, or do you think they just have to scrap the whole thing and just move on to Destiny 3? Do me a huge favor, sign off in the comments below, and I will catch you guys and gals next time.